One of my favorite things oh, thank you, Julie. One of my favorite things in the whole world is to introduce cool people to cool people and like, you guys should talk and you guys should talk and oh my gosh. And I love uplifting and connecting people. So I'm so honored that you're here. And we have a fabulous podcast expert. We're going to do an interview with her and you can ask questions. And I wanted to set I love podcast guesting and I'm rolling out my own podcast. I finally got the art and the title. It's taken quite a while. I'm so excited because I had one a couple years ago. But I love podcasting because it's a great way to really connect with somebody and then they know your story and you know their story and you can become champions for each other. We're all looking for promo partners. And sometimes it's like I meet a lot of people and then sometimes I forget to circle back or I want to deepen the relationship and we're all so busy, right? And when I think about, wow, I've done over 50 podcasts. And a lot of times it's time to circle back and say, how's it going? How's your podcast? How can I help you? Let's boost the episode again. I'm working on my fifth book and I learned, we've got a book expert here too, Lee Lincoln. When do you ever stop marketing your book? And the answer is never, right? And that's how podcasts can be too. But I think sometimes we forget that, especially if we're just guesting. But I think there's so many opportunities, and that's one reason I keep loving to talk about it. And we're gonna hear from Julie in a minute, but I want to introduce. Where did Jen go? Did we lose Jen?
No.
Is she still here?
She's there.
Okay. Sorry. Well, she'd had some tech issues. So Jen Hardy is going to talk to us for a little bit. I met her at PodFest last year. Oh, there you are. Sorry. It's been a day. We met at PodFest in January last year. And I just thought, this lady is so cool. She has 1 million kids. She has fostered. She's got a heart of gold. And she is just really kicking butt with all kinds of things on YouTube. And so I thought, Jen, let's bring her on. And thank you for being here, Jen. Let's give her a welcome. Jazz hands or woo woo, something. Okay, Jen, are you muted? No, you're not muted.
Seems like
I'm
you were
always
talking.
muted.
Now
There you are. Okay.
Now
we got you. Okay, awesome. So Jen, do you want to tell us about how did you do your YouTube stuff? Or tell us, what are you having the most fun with?
Okay. Oh, Paige. Yes, we are podcast. We have, a thing. Okay. No, that sounded weird. Anyway, yes, I know Paige. She's wonderful. Anyway, so yes, I'm Jen Hardy. I live on a little island on the east coast of Florida. I have 7 children from 12 to 35. I'm married to a veteran. And I started blogging 10 years ago, podcasting 7 years ago, and YouTube March. My first 3 months of YouTube, I got 500,000 views. And now I'm almost hitting 1 million, and I've been accepted into the YouTube Shorts Creator Program. So I have a YouTube Partner Manager, which freaks out my children and the young 12-year-old YouTubers that were at Creator Fest that thought I did not belong there until I said, well, I've got a YouTube manager now. And it was very cool to see their face. And then I got allowed in. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. That's what I do. I also lead a podcast mastermind for women over 50. I have a local podcast local meetup that meets. My husband and I own a media company. We have several YouTube channels now. Yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. My favorite thing though, right now, I love podcasting. I love the podcast community. I will never leave it. That community is something like no other. So if you haven't started yet, just start. Just do it. It's going to be ugly. Just do it anyway. Mine are horrible from the beginning, but I leave them up because you can see how far you grow, right? And with video girls, let me tell you what, is it all girls here?
Yeah, that's right.
Wait, except for Roland, he's like a very special man.
All right.
Woman.
So those of us who have passed a certain age, it is hard to start video. I know because I was raised in LA. I didn't leave LA till I was 30. I did theater and stuff out in LA. And I was always, my nose was too big, my butt was too small, like nothing was right. And it was a lot. So I actually moved my children to Tennessee before my girls became teenagers, so they wouldn't have to deal with that.
Yep.
because it was a lot and it's still in my head, right? You can never be too rich or too thin, like all those things that you were told or whatever. You are no Christy Brinkley. I heard that all the
Oh,
time.
me too.
That's still,
I was told you're too pretty to be white trash, but you're not pretty enough to be the lead. I got all kinds of where you're like,
oh,
okay. Yeah, it's so
yeah,
funny
thanks
how
for that
they tell you
compliment.
these weird things to
Um,
put you in these boxes.
right. And so when everyone said, you need to start doing video, you need to start doing video because you got this podcast. And I was like, this face is not going, I've got a face for radio. Like it's not going on video, whatever. And I got in my own head a lot. And so finally I did a few things, they didn't get any traction. And I thought, see, nobody wants to see me, whatever. But then I got this idea. And this is where I'm going to tell you guys, you need to be on video. It doesn't matter what you think you look like.
Getting ready to go.
Just like podcasting, it
Hey,
doesn't
everyone,
matter.
it's Jen.
What's that?
Oh,
Okay. If you don't like your own voice, other people are going to love it. Just podcast anyway. But as far as the video goes, sorry, my husband opened the door and I have ADD, so like it stopped my brain really quick. People are going to love you. People need to see you. People over a certain age need to see other people over a certain age. If you're not over a certain age, start. But if you're not doing it because of your hair or your nose or your whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And if you're a guy, guys have the same, I don't belong, whatever. Um, you do because the world needs to see all different kinds of people. So what I did was before I was thinking those thoughts, I thought, why doesn't anyone get in the shower and do their shower thoughts in the shower? Because shower thoughts are kind of popular. And so I blinged out a robe because my thing is blingy. I don't have my blingy jacket on. I just realized. And I blinged it out and I stood in the shower. I didn't bring any of my good sound things in there. I had my iPhone in one hand and the shower nozzle in the other hand as a fake microphone. And I said things like, why do we drive in a parkway and park on a driveway? Okay, that's how it started. What's the difference between Iron Man and Aluminum Man? Iron Man can stop the bad guys, and Aluminum Man can just foil his plans. I mean, they're bad guys. They're bad. Okay, I've done 500 of them. You can't have 500 good ones. I batch them 100 to 200 at a time. It's a lot of time standing in the shower. You should wear comfortable shoes if you do things like that. Ask me how I know. Anyway, it turned out that people loved them. They just love watching me I'm dressed. It's not a creepy thing because that's the first thing usually men ask is, are you naked? No, I'm not. No, there's nothing like that. But so as you're going about this and you're listening to Elaine and you're like, oh, I've got this idea, but it's weird. And my family says, okay, first of all, I would say don't listen to what your family says unless they're
don't tell your
encouraging.
family. Don't even tell your family. Just go
No,
do it.
because you know what, your family, okay, maybe your family, most families don't care. You think that your family and your friends are going to listen to your podcast and they're going to be your first subscribers. And that is not typically the case, unfortunately. So I'm going live with somebody today and his family is very excited. He's never gone live. He's a YouTuber. They're all going to watch. I've never had that happen. I've got 100 and almost 90 podcast episodes. And the reason my husband watches now, he's my producer for YouTube, but we watched a show about Julia Child, You Take the Chicken. And
Oh,
they did
right.
this thing about how it started. And her husband wouldn't go to the filming and her original taping, and he wouldn't watch the show. And my husband was like, what a horrible husband. How come he's not doing that? And I said, well, honey, do you listen to my podcast? And it was silent.
And he was like,
And now he does because he saw what that looked like and what it felt like to her. But so just know, and just because they don't tell you that you are the bee's knees does not mean that you're not. And that's why you need groups like Elaine's, right? You come here, you share each other's, your ideas and your whatever, or share it after you've started, and everyone's going to tell you how wonderful you are because you are, honestly. You
I
need things
love
like
it.
this. So
I
I
love
think,
it. Thank you, Jen. That was
you're welcome.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And can I ask you, so you had the idea for the shower thing, just to be funny, you've had a performance background. And did you just keep going? You kept posting, even though like they were kind of in the beginning, it was like low numbers.
Yeah, in the beginning, well, it kind of took off. Yeah. So what I did was I did 100 and then I posted 3 or 4 a day. And so YouTube's like, oh, you're in this. So they just took it and ran with it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold on just one
Okay.
second. I am so sorry. I need to answer one question.
Okay.
Can I ask a
Anyway.
question, Elaine?
Yeah. Hi, Erica. I'm so glad you're here. Yes.
Hi. Hi, honey. So she's talking about YouTube podcasting, right?
So,
Yes, but
no, so I
no,
have a
great.
regular
Great
podcast
question.
that's just audio podcast. Well, not just audio, but okay. The reason I say that is because the original plan was to move my podcast onto my YouTube channel, which is lesson number 2 for everyone. This is very important. Has to also go with other people's opinion. So everyone said you have to get your podcast on YouTube. It's a lot. Okay. So that's what I was going to do. So I did my shower thoughts and then I put one interview that I did and I interviewed a judge, and it's a judge that people on YouTube who watch court, they're called law tubers. They loved it. 120,000 views at this point, so much. But what happened was a bunch of people subscribed and like I got monetized in 2 weeks. It was huge. It was very exciting. Getting money from YouTube is very exciting. So when the people that subscribed said, well, I'm not over, because my podcast name is Fabulous Over 50. It's for women over 50. Well, I'm not over 50 and I'm not a woman. And so I changed it. And I wouldn't recommend that. Don't listen just because 2 or 3 people say, don't do that. But I was caught up in the excitement and I'm like, I want this to go and I want it to grow and I'm going to do whatever they say. And I should have done whatever I wanted. Although it turned out to be a good thing because there is another woman with a YouTube channel called Fabulous Over 50 that has 90,000 subscribers, and she would have come after me. So the fact that I changed it to the Jen Hardy Show in the end worked out okay. But now I'm doing things that I didn't really want to be doing. So I'm going back to my own thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but it's all part of the journey. And I think,
it is a
I just
journey.
I hope that everyone here, whether you have been playing with the idea or you're already doing it, you're going as you evolve and change, your podcasts or YouTube, whatever, however you decide to do it, is going to evolve and change too. And the best thing to do is to get started because
Yes. Get
it's
started.
like it makes
Yeah.
me think of like when I first started doing comedy, I didn't know how to write. I just felt compelled to get on stage and make people laugh. And I wasn't that great in the beginning, but I was committed to growing my craft. And so, I just love it because think about it. So many people, like if you have a podcast and maybe you're putting shorts of it on YouTube and then maybe you're talking about it on Facebook, or maybe you're going to play with video, you're going to come hang out with me some more. Like there's just more ways for people to find you because some people are very partial, like, oh, I only go on Facebook, or some people are like, oh, I only do YouTube, right? Like some people are very loyal to 1 or 2 platforms and that is it. And the goal, because if you're attracted to me, I know that you are mission driven, heart centered. You want to help heal the world because that's who I am. And that's the people who come hang out with me. And so I'm like, let's put yourself out there in so many ways, right? So that they can come see you.
Absolutely.
So,
Can I
yeah,
add something else
please.
about podcasting? Okay. So let's say you have a podcast and it's an audio podcast and you don't want to be on YouTube. That's fine. This is my recommendation. Video tape all of your episodes. So whether they're solo or guest, this is what I recommend. So I now have over 100 videos of interviews back in my catalog. Some of those people don't want to be on film. That's fine. But I've got them. So that does several things. Number one, you get used to seeing yourself on a video.
Yep.
Okay. So way before I started on YouTube, I mean, like 5 years ago, I started doing all of my things on video. When for some reason, when I'm on video and even if it's a solo, I do a lot less likes and seeing myself. I don't know what it is. Something about talking, just talking, I say a lot more than if I see myself. And you can see yourself grow. You can see yourself evolve. You see what you look like on camera, whether you want that person to be out on YouTube or on whatever or not. You see it and you can say, oh, well, I really don't like this one thing. Well, then you can figure out how are you going to change it? How are you going to tweak it? Right. And without the whole world watching, you can slowly get to where you want to get. Like my backdrop, people like my backdrop, but it's been 2 years in the making. So I was doing the video before I put it anywhere, and I would change something and see and change something and see. And now my husband told me I have to stop changing it because it's okay now.
No, that's so
So
great. I mean, that's what I say. If you're terrified of video, make a video every day and send it to your best friend and make her send it back to you. Because part of it is just like, you know what, this is how I look. I'm 56 and this is how I look. And I like soft lighting and I like jewel tones because it's better for my skin tone. And this is me. And I'm not teaching beauty. You know what I mean? Like, so I think sometimes we have so much pressure. We've taken on all these other conversations that don't belong to us. And so I hope that you're hearing something that's going to help free you up. And, remember that it's not even about you, right? Like, we're here doing our mission, uplifting, educating, inspiring people. And at the end of the day, it's about lifting your people up, connecting with your people. And of course, the better you feel about yourself, the more likely you're going to keep doing it and be consistent. But yeah, getting used to, this is how I sound, this is how I look, that is half the battle.
it is. Also, I have to show you guys. Wait, can you come say hi? This is my husband, Dave, guys. He is my
Hi,
producer.
Dave.
He is my amazing biggest fan. And he is also my chef who has brought me dinner.
Wow.
So I just had to point that out because he's so amazing. Look
Did
at
you
That
put
is so
food in
great.
that food? Show that food again. I want to see what that was.
what's that?
Is that like crab legs? What
Oh,
is
it's
that?
crab legs. It is. He has
Oh
made
my
crab legs and potato
God.
and steak. And steak on the other side. Yeah.
Wow.
So he's amazing. So I had to give him a shout out because he's
7 kids. That's
absolutely
amazing. And some
better
water or
touch.
something.
So yeah.
Okay, great. So Jen, if people want to follow you or know more, can you put it in the chat or
Yeah.
um,
So at my website, it's jenhardy.net has everything.
okay.
And then I'm at the Jen Hardy everywhere. So I will share that. I'm going to move this off my lap though, because I don't know. There we go. He's so amazing. Also, if any of you would like to go to PodFest, we are the volunteer coordinators, my husband and I. And if you work a certain amount of volunteer hours, you get a ticket for free, which is pretty incredible. So definitely reach out to me. We're about to release the sheet with that, so you can do that. But PodFest, I'm telling you what, and you'll be able to, Elaine, are you going this year?
Oh, heck yeah, I'm going. I
Okay.
went last year because 2 of my clients, Heather Seitz-Wolf and Ann Zuckerman, were speaking, and I wanted to go support. And I volunteered, and that's how I met Jen and her fabulous husband. And what I loved was the vibe that people were like, there were several people who were like terminally ill, but they were doing podcasts and they were like, I want to give until I can't. Like, it was such a generosity of spirit. And there were polka dot people there were Danes people there were a lot of other communities were coming. And I met, and so it's in Orlando, right?
Yep, it's in
January. Okay, great.
Orlando. And it's here, I'll put the thing in there, the link for that too.
Okay. But yes, I volunteered. It was really fun. And it was not I mean, they worked really hard. I just did a few little things, but I recommended enough. So
Well, and the thing about
awesome.
volunteering is you meet the people that you want to know. You're going to meet all kinds of people, and it's really not work. We don't work you that hard, and we feed you. This is a new thing where we give you food. So yeah, it's definitely worth it.
That's how I met your husband. Like, I walked up, I said, hey, I'm going to volunteer for you in like an hour. And he goes, have you eaten today? And I said, oh no. Like, and he goes, go in there. Like,
Yeah.
so
And Julie
nice.
was a fabulous volunteer. So yeah, it was amazing. And Elaine, it was so wonderful. So we had a comedy night for the first night. And that's where I remember meeting you, Elaine, is, oh my gosh, she was hysterical. And we got to do that, and it was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm
Yes.
hoping.
Me
Yeah.
and several of my friends volunteered, and the one thing that I didn't expect and think of, besides, getting to interact with everybody, was that it's a great way to meet people at a big conference when you're doing directions and things. So that's another bonus of being a volunteer, besides getting a free ticket, which they're doing. It's a great way to meet a lot of people, and you're in a bright shirt and people are asking who you are and everything. So that's an even bonus part of getting to help out.
Yeah, that's a good point. And if you're an introvert and you normally wouldn't talk to people, you put that green shirt on and they'll come to you and you can talk to them without, going out. Yeah.
with
getting
less
too
social
uncomfortable.
anxiety. And there were some pretty big players there. Like there's a guy named Vinny Postitivano. I forget his last name.
Positivo, yeah.
Positivo. And he was working with MTV when he was 19. Like he's amazing. And you have access to these people who are like way up there. And the upper, and Bob Wheeler, who's like big in the comedy world in LA. So it was, it was great. It was great. So Jen, I know you probably have to go in a little bit. Is there anything else you wanted to say or parting words or?
Just do it. Whatever it is that you're thinking of, just do it. And don't let other people should on you, tell you you should do this or should do that, unless it's Elaine. She can should on you. But just do what you want to do and get it out there. And I think so many of us have imposter syndrome, which is another thing that I'm sure Elaine covers. And I know I dealt with that for a really long time. I got to tell you, I did. Elaine and I are both 56. We're both the same age. It's been a struggle, but can I tell you, I just have to tell you because it's been so exciting. I was on TV last week and yesterday I shot the cover of a magazine. It's a local magazine, but nothing has to stop you from doing things. As soon as I stopped thinking that I couldn't do it, that's when everything started coming. So just go forth, do the things,
I love
and let
it.
Elaine help you if you need the help. So yeah, that
I
would be
love
it.
it. Thank you, Jen. And I'll just say that's another reason when I'm working with somebody who's a new coach and they're spending all this money on the marketing and the website, and I say, I want you to get a practice client today, because when you start marketing or you do a photo shoot or somebody interviews you, what comes up is like, imposter, this is bullshit. But if you're already coaching somebody, you're like, oh yeah, I love helping people. Oh yeah, I'm a good coach. Okay, maybe it's not perfect, but I think one of the very best things to do is to just keep doing it. So if you're new at something, get a practice client. Do a practice podcast. If you're not sure if you want to do the RSS and the whole formal thing, YouTube can be a great place to test things. And you will learn from each thing, and it's uncomfortable, but like that's why we're here, to grow and help each other, right? Team human, planet Earth.
Right. Well, and it's
So
uncomfortable until something hits, and then it's just fabulous. So, yeah, you have to go through that uncomfortable stretch until it feels really good.
yeah, I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jen. Thanks for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for
Yeah,
everybody
this was a
for,
pleasure. Yeah, make sure and you put your stuff in the thing. Okay,
yeah.
awesome. So you're welcome to hang out or whatever. Okay,
Okay.
and Julie, I wanted to bring you up, Julie, because she is another podcast aficionado. If you want to make yourself okay, awesome. Okay, and yes, Rosemary, we'll get you the info. Because it's really cool. It's a Greek couple who live in Florida, and he started this podcast, I don't know, 10 years ago, and he saw this need for community, and so it's just evolved from this very organic, giving, generous place. So anyway, so
And
Julie,
I
go
was
ahead.
going to add to that for Podfest. Jen has been hosting the last few. They also do monthly Zoom connects with great speakers. And they just started their pod tour, which is kind of their lead up to Podfest in January. And Chris goes around the country and does local meetups for podcasters all over. So you can find that on the website too. I know they're doing one in LA next week that I'll be driving down for. And so it's just great to have different ways to network with people in different places.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. So Julie has been an amazing, irreplaceable person helping me with a lot of things in my life. And she has several podcasts. And I would love it if you can you tell us a little bit about your journey? Because I think people will hear things that will inspire them and spark other ideas.
So for me, podcasting was something I decided to kind of just try out. Before COVID, I had a whole career in higher education. Post COVID, I decided it was time to go into business for myself and start coaching. And then, of course, podcast blew up during that time. So back in 2021, I started taking classes and learning, and I could never really get it off the ground. I was career coaching at the time, and I just wasn't like passionate about it. So I decided, well, let's try it out about something I love. So pets, I love pets, might explain the photo behind me. So I started getting on Zoom with friends, talking about pets, childhood pets, how they, funny stories, how they impact us, all of that. And that turned into the Story of My Pet podcast that is now over 2 years old and has really become a platform to advocate for animal rescue and adoption. So it's become my passion project. And I've also learned a ton along the way. It's one thing about podcasting. Whatever you're talking about, you're going to learn about if you don't know it. So in that process, I really, like Jen said, I got immersed in the podcast community, which is nothing like anything I've ever had anywhere else. Everybody wants to help and support you and give you advice and show you how, and it's amazing. And so that kind of pushed me to start my second podcast, which is Podcast Your Story Now, which is all about empowering more women to use podcasting to tell their story. And what I always say to anyone thinking about a podcast, just like Jen said, just do it. I always say start messy. That's how I started back in 2022. Got on Zoom with friends, recorded it. I published it, no editing, dogs barking, interruptions, talking over each other, and I just did it. So, I mean, if you look back, you'll see the improvements and changes. And as I would go, I would learn something new. I never thought I'd learn how to edit audio or video or any of those things. It was all new to me. So it really has been an evolution. And now my goal is to help walk people through those steps so they don't bang their head against the wall as much as I did sometimes. And so that's really kind of been my journey from, oh, what's this podcasting? I'll learn about it. And then now I'm fully immersed in it.
I love it. Well, thank you, Julie. And a couple of things I want to highlight. So when I first did our podcast, it was 2020, and I had high expectations. And so I was, like we had like a nice little pop, and then we kind of slowly grew, but I realized that I had some big ambitions, but my partner, we were on different pages. And even though we loved it and we had some diehard fans, we had people who would listen to it 2 and 3 times because there was a lot of coaching and there was some good value, but then we weren't growing. So at a certain point, I said, you know what, let's just pause this for a minute. And we realized we were on different pages, but I learned so much. And one of the things I learned was I wanted to be more specific. I didn't think, yeah, we'll just figure it out. I mean, yes, we encourage you to keep going or get started, and you want to think about what is your goal, right? It's hopefully to boost your visibility, to help people know more about who you are and who you help and what makes you uniquely qualified. And you need to think about who you're going to interview or what you're going to talk about. There needs to be some thought into it. And we were just kind of like, it'll be fun. So, that was one of my big lessons.
That's a good point, because I say start messy and just start, but I had gone through a podcasting course. Like, I had learned things from other people in order to even just start at that point, and then I've learned so much more since. So obviously I would never try to say that launching a podcast is super easy. There are definitely steps you have to follow if you're going with the traditional audio only RSS feed and all of that. So there are things, but once you get comfortable and you feel like you know what you want to talk about, you know who you want to listen, then you can start testing it. I have several friends who have evolved. One friend has changed the name 3 times, but she still has her old episodes out there because it's evergreen and people are still listening. And, some people start out only doing solo episodes that they script or outline themselves and then move into interviews. I started with interviews and moved into solo episodes. So the thing is, you get to choose. It can be whatever you want it to be. There's no right or wrong way to do a podcast. You're able to figure out yourself. Do you want to post something daily or only 1 episode a week or 1 episode a month? Whatever works for your life and what you want to do with it.
Yes, and I just want to caution, I've been a professional speaker for 20 years, a performer for 50. And when people say, I can help you monetize, I'm always like, ooh, just be careful with that. Because yes, we all need to make money. And I'm always wary of people who make promises like that when they say, "Oh, I can help you get on stage and make $10,000 next week." I'm like, it usually doesn't quite work like that, And so, proceed with caution. That's why I love hanging out with Podfest people because everybody's been super supportive and they're not led by money, which is not
Right.
necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes people make these big promises and I don't always think that has integrity. So yeah, so I like that. Start messy, have like low expectations, just like to see how it's going to go. And a lot of times your audience is going to help guide you, right?
Right.
Sometimes like one of my clients, Kirsten, she did a how-to video and it got like, woo, I was like, okay, well, let's do more of that. If you can
Right.
look sometimes like what's really resonating with people. Oh, they love the rescue dog hero stories. Okay, well, let's
Right.
do more of those. We'll throw in
And
some cat ones too, but
Right. The great thing about podcasting is you can collect a lot of data just from who's listening, when, how long, all of these things you can see pretty easily. And that the great thing is you can change. Like what I've noticed is, certain length episodes do better than others. I've tried a couple times when I had really long interviews to split them up into 2 episodes, but then those episodes didn't really do well. Like they like hearing the whole story in one episode.
right.
So that's the great thing is you can put some out and see how people respond, and you may realize, oh, they only want 10-minute episodes, not 30, or no, they want 30, they want all the tips, and so you can
Right.
see what people respond to, what they like, what they want more of, and really engage with your listeners, because those are the people that are going to help you grow in a way that you can't on your own, because you're not in their head in terms of why they're listening and what they're getting out of it.
I love that. And I've studied with some of the biggest marketers around, and Jeff Walker would always say, survey your people, ask them, what are you still struggling with? Okay, so and people want to be part of stuff that they've helped create.
Yes.
So if you think about it, your podcast is a community. Like we're a community right now,
Right.
Captivate the Crowd Community, and mission-driven, heart-centered, amazing people, right? And so you want to nurture your community, and we want to be part of things that we helped create or helped
Right.
give feedback for. It's human nature to want to be included and be in the vibe of it. So I love
and
that.
tech is making that easier and easier. I know my podcast hosting platform now has a way people can text me from an episode description. People can, also go to your links. There's way you can ask people, DM me, email me. I want to know what topics do you want me to cover. I know my animal podcast, sometimes I say, hey, what rescue organization or person do you follow that you love? You'd love to hear me interview. Engage them, ask them what they want, who they want to see interviewed, and then they have buy-in to keep listening.
I love that. I listen to My Favorite Murder, which is true crime, but it's also about girl power and badass grandma stories and weird things you found on your grandfather's walls of his house. Like, it's kind of branched out, but they read listener emails. They've just created this whole vibe. And so hopefully everybody here's getting some percolating ideas of like, Roland is the connection grandpa, and he's on this mission to help grandparents and grandkids get connected, because there's such a huge gap, and a lot of times the parents in the middle are sandwiching and they're so busy, and a
Right.
lot of grandparents are bewildered by tech or whatever. So he's like this big bridge, and I could see, he's always up to cool things. Or like Sandy, I keep thinking for you could have like quick fashion tips, or like like scarves. Who's scared of them? I know I've been, but like, what's a simple thing that people can do, right? So
Right.
hopefully you're getting some ideas. So I guess let's open it up.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions, thoughts, comments, ideas?
We'll use the last 10 minutes. We'll put you guys back in breakout rooms to get some more networking.
Yes.
But before we do that, if you have questions, or if you have your own experience that you want to share with others, anybody want to ask a question or share, go right ahead.
I'll say one more thing because I have a big mouth. So I had the privilege, I just met Paige Friend. I got to speak on Sunday for Women Who Podcast, and she has a whole podcast about beach stories. And I love that. Like, to me, that's so creative. I love the beach. I happen to be living very far from the beach right now. And I just thought, what a cool idea. And
Like
who
to
doesn't?
say, if you can't get to the beach, I'll bring the beach to you.
Yeah, like, how cool is that? And it just made me think about, oh, what's something else? Maybe I can add some Texas flavor while I'm here. I don't know. I don't know if that's under my brand or not, but to me, it's just like another example of something that I wouldn't think, but I think it's a brilliant idea. It's like they have those 5-second nature videos where people like, just breathe. I'm always like, oh, thank you.
Erica, did you have a question?
Yes, hi. So I have 2 audio podcasts. They're not really they're not the RSS podcasts, right? I have 2 video podcasts with a friend of mine. I do one and myself. And now that the rules of Zoom has changed, there's something going on with Zoom where you can't just put it on Facebook. We have to pivot, like we have to make something different happen with how we do our video podcast. So it's a perfect time. Like, I have my little YouTube channel, right? I've done some of my videos about some of the things I offer. But it's like, okay, I love what you're saying, Julie, and what Jen said is like, just get down and dirty and try stuff. And if it's awful, you can always delete it,
Yeah. There's always that delete button.
delete. Yes. So like, let it be awful. Let it be just anything worth doing is worth doing badly. And then it'll get better over time. So do you have any insights about this change that has happened, or with the official podcast that people are doing, they don't have to deal with Zoom video to social media?
Well, yeah, a traditional podcast is audio only, and you have to create what we call an RSS feed. So that still exists and is everywhere. Some people do their podcast video only. I know people who go live on LinkedIn, who go live on Facebook, or live on YouTube, and that's it. They don't do an RSS feed. But you can also do both of those. Personally, I have traditional audio RSS feeds for both of mine, but I am starting to post full video episodes on YouTube of the interview episodes. But the audio is already there because you can embed it and it gets sent to YouTube and it just has a static image. So there's a lot of options. I do know Facebook has changed things in terms of being able to live stream within Facebook. And I know a lot of people live stream into their Facebook groups, and that's where there have been issues. I don't do any of that, so I haven't run into it, but I know part of that is just Facebook limiting how other apps can access their platform.
It's like we really have to get in there and play with it. And like my friend Elizabeth was trying to interview me today through her Facebook, and I wasn't getting the invite to get on. So it's like, okay, we got to keep workshopping that.
Yeah, and I would say if you're new and you want to play, StreamYard is a great streaming thing if you don't want to deal with the Zoom changes. StreamYard they have a free version, and I'm on that a lot. I did 2 yesterday and 1 today. And then I'm also looking at going back to Riverside, because Riverside, you can do video and audio recordings, and they allow you to live stream all kinds of places at the same time. Because I'm the kind of person, like, I want to make content. I want it to go lots of places that I don't have to then re-edit and redo, and and that's my ultimate goal. I also just wanted to say, hey, before I forget, can we please take a picture? Julie, will you take a picture? If everybody wants to put a heart or if you can make I don't know, mine's been doing like laser shows or thumbs up or hearts.
Okay, everybody get on screen and get ready. 1, 2, 3.
Okay,
Got it.
Thank you. Thanks for all the hearts and stuff. I wanted to say one other thing, and then we'll go into the breakout rooms. Is, there are a lot of podcasts, and it can be daunting, but there's a lot of podcast fade where people go, yeah, we're gonna do a podcast, and then after about 10 episodes, people are like, this is hard. This is not, the excitement has worn off. So if you have the stamina and you're willing to be consistent, even when you're like, is this worth it? Like we all have those days. I still think it's a great way to create content and put your voice out in the world and help you be seen and found and heard in your own unique coolness. And you know that, I mean, when I'm looking at podcasts, I get asked to speak all the time. I look and see when was the last time they posted, because a lot of podcasts, you know, start and then for whatever reason they stop. So just want to plant that seed again. So awesome. So we can, yeah, we can go back in the rooms one more time and have a little fun connection.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'll
So why don't you, everybody can go in and share, like, what is one of your favorite lessons that you got that in the middle of it was challenging, but now you're grateful that it happened? How about that? I love that one.
Okay, there you guys go. You should get your request now.
Okay. Thanks, Julie.
Um, oh, why are they? That's weird.
Are we stuck?
Hi.
Yeah. I don't know why your guys's didn't
How
get
are
sent
you?
one. There you
Awkward
go.
pause, awkward pause, awkward pause.
That was
Okay,
weird.
thank you.
One of them didn't go. One of the groups didn't open. Weird.